The following video that you're about to watch is the
Castlevania
segment of Danspection's 5th episode, where I try to find out if Castlevania or Ghosts and Goblins is harder to beat. The only reason why I'm uploading the respective segments as their own review is to give something out while I'm working on other stuff, including the Mega Man World Pentology Mega Review. But that video is going to take a while to make since I need to write and eventually edit 5 reviews. And it doesn't help that writing and editing take a long time. So hopefully this re-upload of half a Danspection episode from 2023 can suffice. And who knows, maybe if need be I can upload a compilation of the NES Sexology too. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. I really want to use the Christmas intro. Also, if you want to watch a full video where I reviewed it too, it'll be in the description. Now here is a solo review of
Castlevania.
Castlevania was developed and published by Konami, known for the beloved game series such as Metal Gear Solid, Shh, The Hills, Become Roadkill, and so many more. Castlevania has you play as Simon Belmont, a descendant of a legendary vampire hunter. The main antagonist of the game and series is who else but Count Dracula, a vampire and sorcerer. He suddenly reappeared 100 years after Simon's ancestors got rid of him, but like all base things, they never die. Castlevania has all sorts of sequels, the course one, the third one, the 16-bit one, and so many more. The story of the first Castlevania game is insanely simple. You're here to destroy the forever curse of the evil Count. Unfortunately, everyone wants you dead. Bats, zombies, fish people, boars, leopards, knights, skeletons, Frankenstein, Igor, a mummy, a hunchback, an axe-wielding man,
not me,
a ghost, Death himself, and even Medusa? What the? Okay, I guess this version of the Count is Greek. And they are just everywhere with a few exceptions. There's 6 floors which are meant to be 6 chapters, each one ending with a boss fight. Thankfully though, using a whip and the weapons within the walls, everything should be fine. Right? Well, either way, Dracula has been pissed for 100 years and only you can take him on. Apparently. The cover for Castlevania also just looks really cool. I feel like I'm looking at a movie poster. Some real David vs. Goliath stuff going on here. I really like how the colors complement each other. The sky is blue, while Dracula's castle and Simon are yellow, and the mountains on the castle are green. Perfect use of color theory. Easy 10 out of 10.
Sounds cool. Really cool. I mean, I get to fight Dracula! Even though he could do so many things to me, I don't think YouTube would like it if I listed the things I'd let him do to me.
Where do I begin with Castlevania? Well, I mentioned that the entire plot of the game is to basically kill Dracula, but considering the fact that he's a vampire, that isn't gonna be easy. Something felt throughout the game because of how hard it is, and even in the opening where Simon is in front of Dracula's castle. I said the cover felt like some David vs. Goliath stuff, and that applies here too. I also really like the music. It feels so action-packed and like the stakes are really high, pun not intended. The manual mentioned that we have all sorts of weapons, our main one being the whip. It starts off weak, but we can quickly level it up. And to be honest, I don't understand why we don't start off with the strongest form. This just seems kinda pointless. But we have all sorts of side weapons, including but not limited to an axe, a dagger, a boomerang, arson, and Jesus. Oh, narrate the cross. Yeah, same thing. I have no real clue where his heart has a main power source or not. I don't know, maybe pages of a book to represent the Bible? If hearts don't replenish our lives, what does? Simple. The pork chop.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
There's also movement. In most games, it feels good, slippery, or very, very jarring. And I think on this scale of movement I just invented, moving around Simon feels okay, but it's a little jarring at times. The walking is fine, the crouching is very annoying at times, but the jumping is where the jarringness comes in. You see, for some reason, Simon can't control how he jumps and he just jumps in an arc. This would be fine if it wasn't for the fact we can't have a say in how he jumps. You press the button, it's a regular jump. You hold the jump button, regular jump. There isn't much to say in how it works. I can, however, say that for some reason you can't look around when jumping or attacking. Why can't we do that? We can do that in Mega Man, and Mario, kinda. In fucking Ghosts and Goblins, you can at least turn the other way. There's also the fact that Simon will sometimes move back whenever he gets hit. This is also fun, but the game has so many death pits it isn't even funny. You're going to need to act like you're a task bot when it comes to killing enemies to make sure you don't die. You can also just sort of fall into them, and Simon falls so heavily. Like, I can see why, but it's fairly jarring to hit the ground going Mach 5. Oh yeah, and speaking of die, if you die you end up at the start of the stage, and if you do manage to die enough to get a game over, which you will, you restart the chapter you're in. This is actually really nice of the game to do considering how difficult it is. And there's also the map so you can see where you, the bosses, and the sections of the stages are. Knowing how difficult this game game is, that's really nice of them to do. Super Mario Bros. Doesn't even let you restart the chapter. You die, you go to the end, fuck you. In terms of this game having it out for the player, I fell through a moving platform, and get this, I hit the side of the spike, then I died, which isn't how it works at all. If I touch a nail, I'm not gonna scream in agony. Oh hey, look at that, a giant vampire bat. This thing is huge, it's wider than Simon is tall, but fighting him is really easy with something like an axe, which gives me the perfect time to talk about the stairs. The way you use your side weapons like the axe is first by pressing up on your controller, then by pressing the attack button. Simple. However, if you want to use your side weapons by the stairs, then good luck, because if you're close to them, you're gonna walk up them when you press up. So, you're walking up the stairs when you want to use your weapon. So you go down and move away some until you see you're moving up them again. I really don't see why we couldn't just switch to weapons with select. That would eliminate this whole situation. But, you know, it's still a giant bat. They aren't that hard to kill. Don't ask me how I know. I actually really liked this boss fight though, since it isn't too difficult. And after defeating every boss, we walk into an orb to continue and get our health back. This is just... why? Couldn't Konami just do that without us needing to go into an orb? I don't know why, but this just seems like a pointless middleman. I actually really like the bosses later on. After the vampire bat, there was Medusa for some reason. She can be pretty difficult, but I find hiding in a corner and spamming the really works. Although the first time I fought her, I died, which really hurt. No, I was so close. There were also smaller Medusa heads, so I guess the one we fought is a queen. The smaller heads just sort of move and wave across the screen. This can be pretty annoying at times, having to dodge them, but it's not that bad. Right? There's also dragon skull cannons that shoot fireballs at your direction, and they're kinda annoying, but thankfully, you can whip the fireballs. Oh my god, hunchbacks. False. Do these even look like hunchbacks? No, they don't. They look like monkeys. There are also skeletons and ravens introduced in this chapter, but they aren't too annoying. Sometimes they can hit you, but the skeletons cannot hit you if they tried, and the ravens sort of just hover around you for the most part. I also feel like chapter 3 is where the game's difficulty really starts to shine. You see, there's a ton of skeletons and death pits later on, so you have to keep a close eye for them. And you also need to watch out for the Medusa heads later on. And oh wow, look at that, another dragon skull cannon. If the rest of the chapters so far didn't lower your health, you got it easy, because I didn't, because oh look, it's the bosses. Yes, bosses. For some reason, chapter 3's boss is 2 mummy men. The only reason why I was able to beat them without whipping my hair was the pork chop over here and spamming in the corner like I did with Medusa. Thankfully, this game doesn't have a long duration of invincibility frames, and that both mummy men stayed close to each other so I could get hits on them both. I am so sorry if you didn't or don't get as lucky as me. This boss fight is way harder than it needs to be. Chapter 4 is where everything goes to shit. Okay, well, if not, then explain why this place looks like the sewers, but medieval sewers. And fishmen. So many fishmen. In my notes, I wrote that this section takes place in an underwater cave, and I guess that also explains the amount of fishmen here, and the amount of times you're going to go through blocks. Yeah, that seems like a really good way for them to pounce you. Thankfully, after exiting the cave/sewers, we are greeted with giant eagles dropping hunchbacks onto us. Has the world gone mad? I literally have zero clue how I made it to the boss fight without letting the eagles and hunchbacks destroy me. There's also skeleton dragons who really, and I mean really, love to just be a fucking dick. It's not even funny. I did manage to easily kill the first one when I was getting footage though. And now the boss fight. I hate it. I'm barely gonna talk about it because it's Frankenstein's monster and I go, a hunchback. I feel bad for Frankenstein's monster. He didn't ask to exist, and I think the hunchbacks in this game can go lick a razor blade into a candy apple. Like seriously, how is this fail? This, I can only stun at it, but Lord forbid I can kill him. You know, I did beat it. On to chapter 5. Fucking hunchbacks! But hey, look at the funny red skeletons! They act like 5 ounds in Mario games with skeleton jaws in Mega Man 4 because they cannot be destroyed. Don't know if they can be, don't care. Oh my god, more hunchbacks, I'm going insane again. Okay, these guys are axemen. Yes, that's what they're called. They throw an axe at me, but it works like a boomerang. Yeah, that makes sense. In my notes, I wrote that they fucking blow. But honestly, all it is just me getting fed up with the game at this point. Like, yeah, they take 9 hits, but it's better than taking 1 billion. Not too long after that, there is. Okay, well, if you've seen an old review of this game, you know what I'm talking about, so, I'll just play the clip.
The hardest part in the entire game, besides Dracula, is the hall right before the Grim Reaper. You have Medusa heads coming at you from both directions, and 2 knights throwing axes at 2 different altitudes. I mean, look at the pattern going on here. Anything that hits you drains a quarter of your health, so that means 4 hits and you're dead. Oh, but the knights take 9 hits. 9 fucking hits. You can't even concentrate on attacking them because you're too busy dodging Medusas. But you can't dodge the Medusas because you're too busy dodging the axes. But you can't dodge the axes because you're trying to hit the knight. But you can't hit the knight because the game's driving you fucking crazy.
Yeah, this part was, annoying. And as his note said, everything takes 1/4 of your health, meaning that you need to stay on your toes at this point. But most people can't do that. I somehow did manage to push them both back into despawning without dying. So who knows, maybe I'm some gaming king or whatever. Nah. And speaking of dying, we fight death. And to quote myself from my notes, I have never wanted to invent immortality more. That is how annoying he is. Death summons sickles from God knows where to attack them, and since they stack up quickly, you need to get rid of them while being sure to hit death every now and then. It also doesn't help that how Simon moves sucks for this boss fight. It's so unfairly difficult that it'll put hair on your chest and hair on your chest. Yeah, you're gonna go through double puberty, that's how annoying it is. Also, the sickles can hit you after you defeated death, meaning that death himself is inescapable, and one day Simon will never hear the end of this. Chapter 6, the last chapter. I could bother going in depth for this, but just fucking Hunchbacks again, go away! Farm the hearts. You will need to do it in order to win. I'm saying it now, the Nord said it 13 years ago, farm them. Phase 1 of Dracula's fight is kind of annoying, but Phase 2 is just so ugly. Where is my heart on then, man? ID man, Angel's Konami, I wanna be dominated. I said it on camera again. I am very grateful it isn't that difficult since I'm going for the head. Thankfully, Phase 2 is just slightly more difficult, but I think I'll let the footage speak for itself. Oh, fuck you. The ending is Dracula's castle getting destroyed, and a parody of the end credits to iconic people who worked on Who movies and such have their names changed. At least, I think so. But, as Simon Belmont, we played the greatest role in this story. A white guy. And you know, just in case if you feel like it, we could play again. Here's what I think of Castlevania. The game is good. The movement isn't that bad, the weapons are useful but don't overpower the whip. There's some iconic stuff like fighting Dracula, the fall into Chapter 3, and so much more. And the music, man, oh my god, it's so good. But just, it's so difficult at times. Thankfully, it feels like Adam's Force is the last stage before Chapter 6, but why? Why does it have to be there and not at the end of the game? Granted, this isn't my experience, so maybe Dracula's fight made you want to implode. I don't know. I'm gonna give Castlevania a 7.2 out of 10 pieces of garlic bread. It's really difficult, but it feels really good whenever you beat the game. And the music, it makes me feel so cool. No, not that cool.